The important thing now, because the floodgates have been opened, is actually the thing itself, the art or the information. It doesn't really, it doesn't matter what form it comes in, I don't think.
And the second part of that is you know, it depends on what kind of music or what angle the band is coming from, because it's very difficult to say like where you should go, because you know every artist is different. I mean, because there's a difference between an underground hip hop artist and a mainstream hip hop artist. Those two artists need two different types of application, even though that they're still doing rap records. You know, so thus you're going to find in your genre, whatever it is that the music that you're doing, that you're going to find that these genres are very, very specific. Specific, is that the word?
Specific.
Specific, yeah. Anyway, and so you really have to find out what is the niche of that artist, where is that artist best audiences, and I believe in watering, like you water the grass that's green in front of you before you start thinking about the stuff that's not out there. So if you got 10 fans, then those are the people that you're promoting to.
Yep.
I think we had a question down there.
Thanks. Bob, have you heard of CD Baby?
Yes.
Can you comment on that, please, in that distribution avenue?
You know, the fact...
Say what it is first.
CD Baby, from what I understand, is a sort of digital warehouser of CDs. I mean,
yeah, they have a website,
yeah.
and they take a lot of independent artists, and they have a page for each artist, so you can listen to samples of their songs, and you can order the CDs through the mail, and they send them to you. I've used it.
Yeah, and the splits are much more equitable than going through traditional record company stuff. Again, I think the fact that it's a CD doesn't really matter. I mean, that's like such a... Again, the music matters. I don't care what form it comes in. But I think the concept of having wholesalers where you say, and this goes back to what Hank was saying, where you say, wow, I can go to one place and find a whole lot of different kinds of music rather than clawing through the internet to see someone's site. You know, my mother, I was trying to explain to her about the internet, and I told her a couple of things. She goes, wow, that must be really amazing. I said, yeah, Mom, kind of, but imagine if everybody had their own television show. It's not always something you want to watch. So it's nice to have a clearinghouse, one place where you know where people are serious. And, you know, to think about what Hank said, maybe we can start those that are genre-specific. That would be a really cool thing.
Before we take another question, would one of you gentlemen say something about MySpace? Anything at all?
Well, you know something? MySpace is the most incredible address book on the planet.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the only way. You know, when we need to get, you know, we do remix hotel panels, and when we're, I was trying to find, artists.
Remix hotel panels are.
Well, we do it's basically a conference, and we set up panels like this. We get, producers and engineers and, DJs and visual DJs.
Talking about remixing
and we just talk,
and
we
production.
Just talk. Yeah. So, when we're looking for people, people say, well, call this person, call the agent, call that person. Man, you know something? We just go right to MySpace, dot everybody up, and you know something? Everybody is online. They're using it. I think it's fantastic.
It's the only place where you can still be friends with Johnny Cash. You can still be a friend.
Can't beat that.
Can't beat that.
Another a gentleman there with the glasses, right? There were two of them with the glasses, one behind and then one. Okay, yeah.
This question is directed at Bob and anyone else who wants to jump in. You mentioned earlier about cleaning up people's mistakes in production work. Do you have any insight on, now that everything's going digital, the artifacts of having a lot of compressed audio being released in album material? I mean, maybe this is the same discussion of going from a vinyl to a CD, but a lot of people are sampling MP3s of very low quality compressed audio now.
Right. Well, I wasn't speaking of production. I was only speaking, because that's a much more complex relationship. I was speaking about mixing. I get stuff, that's really recorded horribly. Arguably what I do doesn't matter. If I have a lousy performance of a lousy song, it'll be a great sounding lousy performance of a lousy song. And, whether you like him or hate him, James Taylor could make a great record on an answering machine because he knows how to get to that place. Yep. So, it's important. I think what the important thing and how it relates to people recording their own music is actually go for information. You know, Marshall McLuhan was like so much more prescient than I ever thought. You know, he was right. All that happens on the internet is information. It's wonderful. Kind of, you know, I guess music is emotional information. But it's not that difficult to record a really good vocal at home. But you have to pay, you know, not everybody has a personality for it. I don't know if Kevin can do that or not. But guys, that's Kevin Killen, who is killing. He is one of the hugest engineer,
Kevin, wave,
producer,
please.
mixers in the universe. He is so wonderful. It's just, yeah, makes me want to go back and paint houses again. Anyway, yeah, so I think that I say we're in a golden age of professional audio or semi-pro audio, and everyone says, well, you know, all this cheap digital stuff sounds horrible. Yeah, but there's a lot of companies making affordable recreations of the old stuff that works a lot better. So it's really within your grasp, you know, to spend a couple of K and go out and get a pretty good mic and a pretty good pre and be able to go with it. So try to educate yourself about the recording process. That's the biggest thing. You know, the other things dealing with, man, 20 years ago I would get records that sounded like shit. But a lot of it is about the arrangement. You know, it's really interesting. Everyone thinks if I have the right sounds, it'll be good. The right sounds are part of it, but I think that we need, and Nick said this before as well, another skill that a modern musician has to have. You have to be a good arranger. And, you know, generally what that means is putting stuff out there. So instead of sounding like this and everything all blasted together, it's like, yesterday I went to the store. You can hear everything. You like that one, right?
And you know
Just
something?
to touch, I was going to touch on that MP3 comment.
Oh, please, Nick, go ahead.
I think the battle is lost. MP3 quality seems to be okay for most people. It is horrible. I've done A/B. And I've been to lectures by you know, actual like scientist people who tell you what's happening in an MP3, and it's disgusting. It really is. It's not compressed audio at all. It is. There are pieces of the signal removed. You know, there's an algorithm that says, oh, the human ear can't hear all that much. So let's take a piece of the audio out here, and here, and there's an algorithm that does it. Doesn't matter. It's pretty awful, but it seems as though people respond to it because it's convenient.
Is it kind of
and
like
easy.
saying you shouldn't like strawberry shortcake because it's not nutritious?
No,
but people just eat it
no,
anyway.
No,
because
strawberry
they love
shortcake is fantastic.
But you couldn't live on it.
I could actually. I could live on
No.
it.
I picked the wrong.
Eating too much strawberry shortcake will hurt you. You know, Nick, I kind of disagree. And this is why we're up here,
right.
giving the good stuff. I feel like a good sounding.
And we're friends.
Yeah, it was the same thing when CDs first came in. Everyone says, "Oh God, don't you hate digital? God, it's missing this. It sounds like that." No, a good sounding mix will make a good sounding CD. A good sounding mix will make a good sounding MP3. You'll know it's an MP3, but it'll sound good. You know, within that context. Sorry.